Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Again, your statistic educator Sanju Pal, welcoming you all in the class of statistics. So, let's get started. Okay, children. As we had completed the chapter, the first chapter, collection of the data, right? Now, today in this class, we are going to talk about. We'll have an overview of the chapter, the summary of the whole chapter. We will have a glance to all the points of the chapter, right? Now, what we had seen earlier in this chapter, we started that we talked about, say, the origin of statistics, how the statistics had origin. We even talked about that how statistics grew, okay, say from the time of Kautilya, okay, till PC Mahalanobis, okay, in India. We even talked about how PC Mahalanobis, as the father of statistician in India, okay, how he helped us out to actually grow the subject like statistics in country like India, right? Then what we talked about, we even basically discussed what was population, right? We had seen that population is a group of all the units which are under study. That what do we mean by population, right? We had also discussed that population is actually symbolically denoted by capital N, and population, we know that finite population can be finite or population could be infinite. Finite, we talked about that, yes, it is countable. When the units in the population are countable, it is finite, and when the units are not countable, obviously it is infinite population. We also talked about samples, okay, in this say chapter. That is, when you take, okay, certain number of units from the given population, it is known as what? It is known as sample. And we had also seen that the sample is regarded or is written, okay, by small n. Then comes data. In fact, before that, we even discussed about say the size of the population. We had also seen that if the population has say 500 units, total 500 units, right? So that 500 can be regarded as the size of the population, right? That is what size of the population is. Then we are going to talk about, say, the data. We had also seen what do we mean by data. Data, we had seen that it is the set of all the observations obtained, okay, by inspection, okay, is called data. This is a set of all the observations that we are collecting by inspecting each and every unit of the samples, or say each and every unit of the population, okay, it is known as data, right? That is what data was. Then we also talked about, say, variable. Variable was obviously is of a qualitative type and, say, the quantitative type. Before that, if we talk about, say, the data, again, the data is of qualitative type and quantitative type. Now, you are not new to what is qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative, we know that all such observations, or you can say informations collected, okay, but which are in the form of quality, are the qualitative data, and obviously which are countable are actually say quantitative data. After that, okay, we even saw what do we mean by say a variable, right? In a variable, we had seen that when the units under study, okay, have certain characteristics, they are known as what? They are regarded by variables. And even variables are also of the qualitative type and of the quantitative type. Qualitative type, again, when they are in the form of quality, right, or having certain say characteristics, right, they are qualitative variable. And obviously when the variables which you can count can be regarded as quantitative variable. That is what variable we talked about, right? We saw the type of data, right? In the type of data also, you would find we even discuss about what do we mean by primary data. We talked about the secondary data. First of all, primary data, we'll see the definition again. What do we mean by primary data? That is the data, say, originally collected, say, by, say, any authorized agency, or you can say investigators, right, for the first time. Such kind of data we have seen is known as what? Is known as primary data. That is, again, that is the data that you are collecting by yourself, you are collecting for the first time, okay, it is originally been collected, then such kind of data can be regarded as primary data, right? So that is what primary data is all about. Yeah, okay, now we are going to talk about, say, the secondary data. Okay, what do you mean by secondary data? In secondary data, what we have seen, that when an investigator or the agency uses the data already collected by any other agency, okay, already collected by any other agency or the investigator, such kind of data is secondary data. Again, when an investigator or an agency uses the data already collected by any other agency or the investigator, we have seen that we directly don't go to the field, we don't collect the data, we don't collect the information, okay, somebody else has collected, and that particular data we use for our own investigation, then such kind of data is regarded as secondary data, right? So that is what we saw actually, secondary and primary and the secondary data. And we also discussed earlier say what are the advantages and disadvantages of primary data and secondary data. Over here in this overview I'm not going to go in that detail, right? Now we are going to talk about we had also seen the different methods of collecting the primary data. In different methods of collecting the primary data, right, we saw what do we mean by direct inquiry, excuse me, what do we mean by indirect inquiry, and also say method of questionnaire. Okay, that one was actually methods of collecting the primary data. In that, first of all, we are going to discuss what do we mean by direct inquiry, right? In direct inquiry also, okay, you know that we had seen to the advantages and disadvantages, but we'll see what do we mean by it here. Say an investigator himself or an enumerator collects the necessary information, okay, say where you would find the investigator himself, or you can say with the help of the enumerator, okay, collects the information right from the field of inquiry, then such kind of inquiry can be regarded as direct inquiry. You are directly meeting the respondent and actually collecting all the kinds of information. At that time, such an inquiry is direct inquiry. Children, we had also talked about what do we mean by enumerator. I'm not going to go in detail, right? Then to who are the enumerators, whom you actually train on how to collect the data. Such kind of say salaried people or say hired people are the enumerators, right? Okay, so that is what do we have seen direct inquiry. Then say indirect inquiry, right? In indirect inquiry, you would find the investigator say contacts an organization or a person, okay, capable of conducting say inquiries and get the relevant information, right? You are yourself not collecting the data, you are not even sending any trained enumerators into the field, but what you are doing is that you are actually contacting an organization or the person who is capable enough to do the inquiry, and you are getting the relevant information. At that time, what do we mean by it? It is actually our indirect inquiry. So in methods of collecting the primary data, we have seen direct inquiry, indirect inquiry, and now we are going to talk about the methods of questionnaire, right? In methods of questionnaire, we had discussed that what we do, we prepare basically as per our inquiry, we prepare certain questions, right? And we actually post it, or you can say with the help of the enumerator collect the information, okay, or you can say collect the answer of such question. When such kind of method is used, okay, we are talking about what? We are talking about the method of questionnaire. In method of questionnaire, we saw that it is being done by post, or even the enumerator himself or herself, okay, carry the questionnaire and collect the information from the field. So there are two methods in actually questionnaire, that by post and by enumerator. Yes, while we talk about the questionnaire, we talked about the characteristics, okay, of an ideal questionnaire also, right? We had seen what do we mean by ideal questionnaire, right? We had also seen what were the features of ideal questionnaire. I will discuss few of the points. I will not go in detail, right? In features of the ideal questionnaire, we talked about that even there should be cover letter, right, along with your questionnaire. Even we had also talked about say the number of questions should be limited. Even we talked about that the question should be simple, and say it should be short, and it should be understandable also, right? Even we talked about that the question should not be of a very personal nature, right? All these are the features of the ideal questionnaire, right? Then comes the secondary data. right? In secondary data, okay, we had discussed secondary data by published sources and secondary data by unpublished sources. Now if I talk about secondary data, by published sources, okay, in that one, the first one we had seen the government publications, okay, that by how the government publications we get different kinds of information. Okay, if I talk about the government publications, you would find and the socio-economic review we talked about. Okay, a statistical outline is there. National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO, we talked about. Okay, these are the government publications, right, which with the help of whom we get the different informations. Similarly, we talked about the second one, that is the semi-government publications. In semi-government publications, we had talked about the Life Insurance Corporation of India, state electricity boards. Okay, these are the such kind of agencies who publish their own publications, and we actually get the informations. Then we talked about international publications, right, which have been published by international bodies like IMF is there, ILO is there, right? Those were also the sources of the secondary data. Then we also talked about the reports which are made by the research organizations. Okay, research organizations such as the physical research laboratory is there. Then your salt and marine research laboratory is there, right? National Council of Applied Economic Research is there. They are the research organizations, okay, who actually regularly publish their reports, and we get the information through the reports, okay, given by them, right? In secondary data only, even we talked about the local self-government, right, who actually regularly publish their data, such as the municipal corporations are there, Jilla Panchayats are there. They regularly publish their data, and that is how it becomes the sources of the secondary data, right? Now even we talked about in that the 6th point was there regarding publications of business and commerce organizations. Okay, we talked about the Chamber of Commerce, we talked about Chartered Accountant Institution, okay, who regularly publish their data, and we get the informations from their basically datas, and that's why they are the sources of secondary data and the published one. Similarly, last but not the least, newspapers and the periodicals. Okay, newspapers and periodicals such as the Business Today is there, Financial Express is there, right? Times of India is there, who regularly publish their informations or data, and those data we basically use as informations for our own inquiry. Okay, so these are the secondary data by published sources, right? Now we are going to we even talked about the secondary data by unpublished sources. Now unpublished sources, that is we talked about that how suppose if I want to take any information of the teachers, okay, of a school, so I will go to that particular school, I will take the permission, and if I have the internal information of the teachers from the school, okay, that information becomes the secondary data for me, and that is actually the unpublished source, right? Because such kind of informations are not published anywhere. So secondary data, okay, we discuss are of published type and unpublished type. Okay, then the last one what we saw, okay, is actually precautions, okay, while taking the secondary data or while using the secondary data, right? That also I will not go at present in detail, but in that we had seen that we should take care of that who has collected, okay, the data, what is the primary source of data, we should have the knowledge for it. Okay, what was the purpose of collection, okay, of the primary source of data, that also we have to take into consideration, right? We have also seen in the precautions that the data collected should not be too old, okay, it should not be of the remote past, right? Even we had seen that what was the scope of data, okay, for the institutions who had collected this information for the first time, that also we have to take care of, right? We have also seen that obviously any kind of estimations should be avoided, right? Okay, so these are a few of the precautions that we should take while using the secondary data. So that is what precautions that what we had discussed. So children, this is a short overview, okay, of the first chapter that what we had seen or done. hopefully you understood this chapter, right? So bye for time being. Okay, all the best. Take care of yourself and take care of your family. God bless you all.